Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Sunny Sage 11 now. I changed the name of the channel a few hours ago. The number 11 connects with me a lot. That might be the topic of another video, but I don't know about you, but do you have certain numbers that kind of show up for you often? Do you ever see repeating numbers? I was born on the 11th of the month. 11 is one of those numbers that follows me around very often. There's also a lot of spiritual significance behind the number 11 as well. So yeah, I decided to rename the channel just to kind of align with the energy that kind of flows with me. So welcome and welcome back to the channel. If I'm speaking fast in this video, I'm trying not to, but the reason is I didn't charge my phone as much as I wanted to before I left work. Super busy day, so I'm trying to make sure I do this video. As you probably already tell from the title, I'm doing a 30-day video challenge. I had day one's video yesterday, so now I'm trying to do my second video. I just got in from work maybe 45 minutes ago after doing a run to the store, and I want to make sure this video is done before midnight so I can, keep in step with my commitment to this 30-day video challenge. Yeah, but I did take a few notes of like what I wanted to talk about in this video. As you may know, if you watched the other video or the one from Sunday, I'm currently living abroad in South Korea. Now, this isn't the first time I've lived abroad in Korea. They're not public on this channel, but actually this whole channel started like back in 2011. The first time I came to Korea. A lot of those older videos I've made private because I don't know, I just feel like I'm a different person. I'll watch them on my own, just like to take a trip down memory lane. But yeah, or maybe, who knows, I might bring those videos back out, who knows. But I started this channel way back then, and I was in Korea. That was the first time, I started YouTube, was when I was in Korea. I didn't really have like plans to like take it anywhere. I just was doing it just to have a way to talk about my experience and like share what I was doing with my family. I felt like doing videos would be like a more live, interactive way for them to see how life was for me in Korea. So back then in 2011, when I came, I was, wait a minute, trying to do the math. I was 24. Yes, I was 24, a few months away from turning 25. And so being in Korea in my 20s and now being back here now at 38, yes, I'm 38, I recognize, and I'm kind of seeing like, well, how is living abroad different in your 30s, late 30s at that, compared to when you come in your early to mid 20s. Now, I think a lot of this also, as far as changes, I think it generally has to do with just how you mature, like from your 20s to your 30s. Like this may be the case if I were still back in the US as well, like just kind of how we navigate our environments and how we see life, new perspectives we have. So I took like a few notes of what came to mind as far as like living abroad in my early 20s compared to coming back in my late 30s. Like what is different for me? Like, was my decision process different this go round compared to the first go round? So I thought that'd be kind of unique to explore. And a little bit of a sidebar, if you are someone who's watching this who's like curious about coming to Korea to teach English or just moving abroad in general, if you're kind of curious about what kind of steps it takes to make that move, how to prepare for moving abroad, before you leave your current destination, your current location to get to that destination, I'd be more than happy to be your move abroad mentor, to talk with you about how to go about those steps. Or if you just want to rack my brain and talk to me about, what was my process like to go abroad, or how was your experience going to a Korea in your 20s compared to your 30s. And I would say this is my fourth chapter actually in Korea. So I've had different stints and different stages of life in Korea, which has been pretty interesting. So if there's more you'd like to know about my experience living abroad beyond the content of these videos, then I definitely welcome you to check the link in the description, and I'll also pin a comment with the link to schedule a call with me so we can just kind of talk and chat and just see where you are. So just wanted to share that. So living abroad in my 20s compared to my 30s, I would say, what did I write on this post-it? I would say one thing that is a little different as far as, well, one thing that I'm still working on is like building community, building friendships with, it doesn't have to be just other foreigners like me, but also with other Koreans. I feel like when I came into my 20s, and not just for me, but also other friends that I got to know and other foreigners that were coming to Korea or living in Korea, I felt like in my 20s, I was more open to like, I wouldn't say trying to be friends with everybody, but I felt like I, in a way, was like, I guess, open to like more friendships as far as like I can be friends with this person, with that person, with that person. I think I was like a more active, like social butterfly in a way. But now in my 30s, I feel like I don't feel the need to feel like I have to be friends with every foreigner that I meet, or that I have to have like all the friends in the world in Korea. I think that I've gotten more perhaps selective about what kinds of community, or what type of community I want to build, or what kinds of friendships I want to cultivate, and being a bit more, I know I said selective, but just kind of really fine tuning, like knowing I don't have to, go to every social event on every weekend. Like just because something comes across my Meetup feed doesn't mean I have to go to it. Like really, as I get to know myself, it also helps me recognize, you know what, not that event, but this event is the one that I want to go to. Or you know what, I don't need to be at the event with 30 people. I'd rather go to the event where there's like 10 people, maybe 5 people. So I think that that goes hand in hand with me also feeling more comfortable in my own skin and kind of knowing myself better. Like I don't have to, overexert myself to try to build all the friendships in the world. I'm not saying like I'm not adventurous or I don't want to get to know people, but I also have recognized that not every person is for you. And I've gotten to the point where I want to attract the people that are meant to be in my space, and not so much feel like I have to be, to use a term I heard the other day, like to be the golden retriever that kind of goes and like actively tries to like befriend as many people as possible. I don't kind of feel the need to be that. I kind of want to be like that cat that kind of, see who wants to come towards her, who can she attract and magnetize towards herself, like knowing not everyone has to, be invited into her space, but she can be receptive and use her intuition to determine and to fill out what kinds of connections will be meaningful. To kind of give a bit of a true story, I'm not saying since I got to Korea I haven't made any friends. I think that I kind of have started back at square one, whereas when I did come last year, I did meet like an amazing, talented group of musicians, and they were actually all Korean. But I guess somewhere over the course of months, I had to recognize that, you know what, I don't think this particular circle is where I feel, the most heard, or where I feel that I can be fully, embraced for my own authenticity, or wanting to express my own truths aren't going to be met with, resistance or questioning. So, I'm not trying to throw shade. It was more so a big learning opportunity for me to kind of recognize that it's okay to also have the courage to know when to walk away or separate from a group that maybe you felt was the right fit for you. But as you kind of get to express yourself and show up as yourself, is that being received well? Or do you feel like you have to tune down who you are in order to feel like you can fit in, or feel like you have to over explain yourself just to fit in? So it was a learning opportunity, and I still wish those individuals very well in where they're going and in their journey. But it's allowed me to find a way to get back to the drawing board and build friendships that will be sustainable, supportive towards me. So yeah, so friendships, how I'm building friendships, how I'm choosing what types of people I want to have around me. I feel like that's been a big difference between my early 20s to where I'm at now. So that is definitely a big thing. I'm also looking at opportunities for growth beyond just English teaching. So yes, I do feel that teaching English in Korea is a great way to get your foot in the door. But at the same time, with my move abroad, this isn't something that I'm seeing as like, oh, I'll do it for like 2 years and, go back to the States. When I left the US, it was like, no, this is it. Like, going back is not an option, like, unless it really, really has to happen for an extreme circumstance. So when I left last year, it was very intentional to make this a long-term move. So looking at opportunities for growth that go beyond English teaching, I'm hoping to grow the work that I'm doing with my writing projects. I'm hoping that my YouTube channel can be a space where I can also create opportunities for growth to help others who are interested in the move abroad journey. And I'm looking at ways to, and just in general, I also feel that, we have to be creative and we have to be innovative in how we support ourselves and sustain ourselves. And I don't want to tie that only to teaching English. It is a very amazing opportunity to do that in Korea. And I'm just recognizing the versatility because I also consider myself an immigrant. I don't really subscribe to the term expat. Actually, that could be the topic of another video, why I prefer the term immigrant over expat, which I'm going to write that down because there are a lot of videos on YouTube where, I know a lot of people say expat, 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 but it's like they've been living in a said country for 20 years and they know they don't want to go back to their country of birth. And my thoughts are, well, you're not an expat, you're an immigrant. You don't plan to go back. So you are an immigrant. It doesn't matter if you're from the US or Canada or the UK. You're an immigrant and it's okay, I feel like sometimes there can be a negative connotation with the word immigrant or, when it comes to, I feel like there's a certain privilege that some people may want to flex when it comes to, well, I'm an expat, I'm not an immigrant. Just because you're from the US and you've moved abroad and you've been abroad for 30 plus years and you're not going back to the US and you still call yourself an expat. Now there are some cases where some people are expats that, again, I'll go into a whole different video about that. But there is a distinction between expat and immigrant. An expat is someone who knows, like, I am planning to go back to my country. Like maybe I'm on a temporary work assignment abroad, but I'm going to go back to my country of origin. Or I guess I haven't said the word home country in a moment because I guess some people may not consider the country they were born in their home country, but that's another topic. Maybe that'll be another video topic. How do we define home? So, guess I got my next topic. Maybe that'll be day 3's video. Looking at long-term growth opportunities, I think in my 20s, like, I didn't see that sense of like moving abroad as something that I wanted to feel be a permanent choice. I just didn't have that perspective, and it was okay. I think that I was still navigating and finding myself, like, between where I'm at now, my 20s. Like, I lived in New York for a couple of years. I came back to Korea before in another stint before this one. So I think that I've reached a full circle moment in like this stage of my adult journey where I've recognized that, you know what, living abroad does suit me better than a life in the United States. Which may be another video as well. Why did I leave the US on a more permanent basis? What was the call for that? What was the reason? So looking for long-term growth opportunities, and I feel Korea is also very supportive of entrepreneurship and in connection with me wanting to stay long-term. Also me obtaining residency, which I'll be eligible for around the 2 to 3 year mark. So I think sometime next year I can try to start exploring the option to apply for residency in Korea, which would be very great because having residency allows you to expand your opportunities and access to other options that are beyond English teaching. So with me being on a teaching visa to live in Korea, my living and working here is dependent upon staying in that particular profession because my visa is tied to being an English teacher. So again, looking long term, I want to get residency, and so that is in the works. So stay tuned for that. And I guess I'll go with my third point, which is aging abroad. One of the biggest decisions or factors in my decisions with wanting to move abroad was me thinking about, well, when I'm 70, 80 years old, what kind of environment do I want to live in? Do I want to live in a country where I feel I have to be dependent upon having a vehicle to get me everywhere, or to handle even the smallest of errands? You know, if I need like a pack of batteries because my flashlight is out of batteries, or I need a pack of band-aids. You know, I just got a paper cut. Oh no, I don't have band-aids. What do I do? If I was in the States, get in the car, drive, get the band-aids, come back. I'm like, is that something I feel like I want to have to contend with when I'm 80 years old? Like, what if I decide at 80, I don't want to drive anymore? I might have all my faculties, good vision, good hearing, good mobility, but I might just be like, you know what? I'm good. I don't want to drive anymore. Do I want to feel like I have to be dependent upon, you know, my adult child to drive me around? Or is there a good shuttle service in my neighborhood? Does my city have good public transportation where I can get around easily? And if you're from the States and you're watching this, you know that the majority of the country does not have very strong and robust and, you know, dependable public transit systems. I mean, I lived in New York. I know a lot of people say, well, what about New York? Yes, New York has a subway. It's not the cleanest. The service is not the best. There have been many times where I was on my way to an event or on my way to work, and I had to get off the train because they decided to reroute, or they had to skip stations. Like, I'm on my way, I'm trying to get to Columbus Circle, but on the way to Columbus Circle, the train conductor gives a message over the intercom saying, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to be stopping at Columbus Circle because there's a train behind us that is too close, XYZ, so we have to bypass the next 5 stations. So I have to get off 5 stations beyond where I need to get off, take another train, and go back to get to Columbus Circle. So you kind of catch my drift. So yes, New York has a robust subway system, but it's not the cleanest, it's not the safest. I could go on and on. I feel like you just need therapy just to deal with the New York Metro subway system. So yeah, majority of the US, you have to have a car to get around to the majority of places. And I recollect, I don't know if I'm saying the right word, I recalled all the times that I lived in Korea. I have never owned a car in Korea. I can, you know, I actually have the option if I wanted to get a license in Korea, I could. But it's like, it's not something I feel I have to do. It can be something I could do out of choice. I don't feel like it's obligatory to have to own a car in Korea. Lots of people own cars here. Yes, absolutely. But there, at the same time, are extensive transit systems, tons of buses, high-speed rail systems. You can pretty much go anywhere you need to go. It's affordable. The fare is very affordable. It's sustainable. And I feel like I love that I can go anywhere I want. I don't feel like I'm blocked getting to an appointment, or even just walking around. Like I mentioned the Band-Aids, like there are actually convenience stores on almost every other corner in Korea. If I need Band-Aids, batteries, if I need a pair of socks, I literally 2 months ago, I was at an event. I went to like an indoor rock climbing gym. I felt like I wanted new socks after, because I was like using like the gym's like communal shoes, like you can borrow shoes, but I mean, they were okay, but I felt like I wanted to like put on a fresh pair of socks, you know, afterwards. So I went to the convenience store, bought a pair of socks, boom, fresh feet all day. So it's just amazing. I love the coffee house structure, the cafes. There's coffee houses everywhere, food everywhere, restaurants. I mean, to me, I just really miss the environment of Korea every time I lived in the States, and I always felt like I was missing it, and how easy it was to do so much. So I think I'll stop here for now. I'm almost at 20 minutes. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope that you found something interesting about, you know, living abroad in my 30s versus my 20s. So in my 30s, I think about aging abroad. The healthcare system here is great. The mobility here is great. I do have plans to, you know, hopefully raise a family in Korea. You know, I am open to marrying within the culture. So that is something that, you know, I have, you know, on my heart. So that could be another topic of a video, like, you know, dating in Korea, you know, getting married in Korea. So Yeah, I will leave it there, and I might do a part two. Other things that come to mind about how living in Korea differs and how my mindset differs now compared to in my 20s when I was younger and in a different headspace. So thinking about, again, aging abroad, long-term growth opportunities, and yeah, how I navigate friendships and connecting with people, and I guess being more particular about, the types of friendships and spaces that resonate deeper for me on a more spiritual level in that regard. So thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Day 3 coming up. Oh, and if you haven't already, please like this video. Please subscribe. I love to grow this channel even more and to just connect further with you and more people, the community, build the community, grow the community. If you have any ideas for future videos that you'd like me to talk about, future topics, please drop it in the comment below, and I will see you next time. Take care.